Hello, Miss Deb here, and today I'm going to show you how to make three different winter paper crafts. One of them is going to be like conifer trees, like you have see the pictures here, and the two others are going to be two different kinds of 3D stars. I have made almost all of my crafts in white paper. You get to choose any paper you want to. The first one is going to be the trees. Always for all these crafts, we are going to start off with a square sheet of paper. If you do not have a square sheet of paper, I'll show you how to make a square sheet of paper out of regular paper. Now here I have a green square sheet of paper because I am going to make a tree. So I am first folding the paper in diagonal. So I can see when I open it, you will see it's a diagonal. And then I'm going to fold it in halves. First I'm going to do it in one way, and then I'm going to turn my paper over and I'm going to do it the other way. So I will end up with a star. So most of the origami actually starts off with a star, like on the square sheet of paper. So here also you will look that I am doing the same. Now I'm going to show you two different ways of folding. The one I'm doing with the green paper would be easier, and but it will have only 4 sides, but the other one will have many sides. So you can see how I'm folding. First I fold it in a triangle, and I'm then pushing in the corners to make it a smaller square. So you can see it is ended up with 4 sides. And then I'm going to line up with the middle fold and make another fold. So like that way. So I'm going to make that, I'll end up with 4 different folds. So make sure that your folds are extremely crisp. If it is not crisp, it will not work and it will flop over, because these are all 3D crafts, so the papers have to stand on their own. So make sure that your lines are straight and your folds are crisp. That's why I'm pressing on the folds. So see this extra part? I am going to cut that off. So you will need a pair of scissors. You can discard those papers, or you can make some other craft with all the extra papers that you have. So if you, I have chosen a very thick paper here, and it is very difficult to cut thicker papers with so many folds. I would prefer to, if you have thinner paper, please use thinner paper. It's way easier to cut. Thicker papers may look nicer, but if you can do it, make sure you don't get a blister. And we cut very carefully. Do not cut all the way to the fold. Leave a little bit of space. If you cut all the way to the fold, the paper might just fall off. Just make sure there is enough gap between your cuts. So I'm cutting one side first, and then I'm cutting, see, I'm cutting all the way to the, almost to the center fold. Not all the way to the, but almost. I'm keeping a little bit of gap. So I am making it with green paper, but whatever color paper you have would be good. Now the cutting part is done. You can see I cut all the sides, and then I'm going to do one at a time. So I'm separating those 2 sections, and then I am going to do the next step. So I'm just taking just a little bit and folding it down, tiny bit, little bit. Not half, but it's folded in a triangular fashion. I have to press really hard on the fold for those papers to stay down. If you don't press hard, it will just spring right back in its original position. So that my one section is done, I'm going to go and do the other sections. So I'm done with my second part. Now I'm going to do the other two. I'm almost done with all the 4 sections, and you'll see it will stand up on its own because this tree is so sturdy. In a moment I'll show you how it looks. There you go. From top it looks like that, from side and the top it looks like. Now I'm going to make a star for the top of that tree. You can make it, build it any which way you want. You can decorate it. You can decorate it with markers, colored pencils. You can make dots or like tree decorations, like ornaments all over the tree. I'm just going to make a star to show you that you can color it any which way you want. Now if you're using any other colored paper besides a darker shade of green, you can always color it in too. So I have a star here and I'm going to glue it on top. I'll put just a dot on the top. Glue takes time, so it's kind of falling off. So if you have tape, you can use tape too. That's how it looks from the side. Now I'm going to show you another one that's similar, but the fold will be a little bit different. Again, here you start off with a square sheet of paper. So if you have a regular sheet of paper, this is how you make it into a square. Make sure you line up this one side of the paper and then in a triangle, and then whatever is extra you cut that part off. Again, you fold it into a star. First fold it in a triangle one way and open it up, fold it into a triangle another way. Make sure your lines are very crisp. Now fold it in half, open it up, fold it in another way, half. This is the very, very basic steps of origami. Any origami you do, you have to start off like this, most of them. Now I'm going to try and fold it the same way that I had done before. First into a triangle, and then I'm going to push both the corners in, and it will end up looking like a smaller square. Now you see this fold is a little bit different. It's a little bit trickier than the previous one. So I'm taking one of those folds and opening it up like a pocket, and then I'm going to flatten it out. And then make sure you press it down really crisp. So you have to do it with all those different folds, and you'll end up with more than 4 sections. So first you have to find the folds and make it out, open it up as a pocket. And make sure when you press it down, it's centered. So opening it up would be a little bit trickier, so take your time to do it. So I'm done with opening up all the pockets. There were 4 of them, and I opened it up and then I pressed it down. So even then, you see, I ended up with 8 sections now. So you can see from the top view, there are more than 4 sections here. So even now, there is a little bit of extra part at the bottom. To make it stand up straight, you have to cut up that corner. And from now on, what you have to do is exactly the same thing that we did before. We'll cut some notches on both sides of the triangle, and then we are going to fold it down a little bit so that it will look like a conifer tree. You can make as many slits as you want, but don't make them too close, then you will not have anything left for folding it down. But before folding it down, make sure all the sections are separated. You do not want to fold 2 of them together. Then your tree will not have that many sides. Now I have started folding all the sections. You will see I'm doing them individually. Do not try to do them all together, then you will miss some sections, like the tree will look flattened. This is also a little bit tricky. Because this fold, your tree will end up with 8 sections. The previous one, your tree would have ended up with 4 sections. So this is double the sides. So the tree looks fuller. In a moment, I'll show you the picture from top, and you'll see it looks like more like a rounded tree. There you go. Look at from the top. It has so many different sections. Now you have to like separate them and make sure they're all evenly spaced out. It looks like a regular tree. And from the side, from top, it also looks like a snowflake. From side, it looks like a tree. Yeah. And it will stand on its own. There you go. Now next, I'm going to show you how to make this 3D star. When you make it up, and I have made it only with white paper. You can make it with any colored paper. You need 2 sheets of paper, a pair of scissors and glue, and a little bit of ruler for measuring some cuts. Here again, we are going to start off with a square sheet of paper. And you know how to make a regular square sheet out of a regular sheet, right? Just fold it in, line up the edge of the sheet in a triangle way, and then cut the extra part off. Here also, we are going to fold it first in a triangle way, and then open it up and fold it another triangle way. And then we are going to fold it once, a paper half one way, open it up, turn it, and then fold it halfway the other way. So you will end up with a folded star. Fold that looks like a star. Now we are going to measure the halfway, the straight lines, not the corner folds, but the straight folds. My paper is about 8 inches long, so I'm measuring about 2 inches from the center of the fold and making a mark on the fold. I'm only making the mark on the straight folds and not on the triangle folds. So there will be 4 marks. And I'm putting it on a mark on the 2-inch section. And I'm going to cut on the fold till that mark. If you don't have a ruler, you can just eyeball your measurements, like as long as it is like equidistance from the edge of the paper, it should be fine. So now I'm going to line up my fold with the triangle fold that I had done earlier. So I'm just folding all the corners lined up with that previous fold. But make sure your folds are absolutely lined up, otherwise it will not work. And also crisp. So do the same fold on 4 sides, 4 corners of the paper. So you have to do 2 such folds with 2 different sheets of paper to make 1 star. Now I'm going to put glue only on one side of one, because there are two sheets of triangle, right? I'm putting glue only on one, and what I'm doing is I'm just pushing it together and gluing those two folds together, and I'm holding it very gently, so it's creating a pocket. So I'm going to do the same with all four corners. I'm going to put glue on one of the flaps, and I'm then going to push that other flap over the glue one with the glue. See how gently I'm doing? So I'm creating pockets, and I'm gently sliding it over. Put your fingers and give support from inside the pocket, so that, and try to press it gently so that both the papers will get stuck together. Doesn't matter which side you put glue on, just put it on one of the flaps. Please put very little amount of glue, because if you put too much glue, then the paper will become so wet it will not keep its shape. So I'm done with one side, so make sure you turn it over and make sure that the middle of the star looks like a point, it's pointier and looks like a star. So gently coax it into shape. Sometimes when you fold it, paper tends to go any which way it wants to, but you have to gently make sure that you get the shape that you want. So here's the other one. I've done with the second one too. So I'm making sure that it comes to a point after I've glued the other side. So here are the two, and now I'm going to glue them like this, you see, crosswise. And one thing I'll tell you, I've done it with the white paper, but you can have two different colored papers and it looks really, really cool. And put a little bit of glue in the four corners, so that, and put the other one. This is the back side, so you see there's a hole there. So you see, I put the other one, flip it over, and make sure all your gaps are covered. When you're gluing both the stars, be very careful, because mine is sliding down. So here you go. This is your 3D star. And you can also, when you're gluing both the sides together, you can put in a loop in there, so you can hang it, or you can make this a tree topper too. Now here is the third 3D star that I'm going to show you now. For this, you will need 6 sheets of paper, same regular paper that you have for printer paper, and you have to make all 6 of them squares. After you have made them squares, and then I'll show you how to fold them. So I've already made square sheet of paper over here, and you'll see I have only folded in the 2 times, once this way triangle, one other way triangle. Now I'm going to cut it, but before cutting it, be careful you cut it the side that is open and not the folded side, and cut almost all the way to the edge of that side. And do not try to put in too many strips. The maximum 4 cuts, which will give you 5 sections. So I'm done with 3, and I'll do another one. Make sure it is on the open side and not on the folded side. That's extremely important. Okay, so open it up, and this is how it will look when you open it up. So if it does not look like this, that means you cut it the wrong way. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the smallest diamond in the middle of the paper and I'm going to tape it together. Unfortunately, I did not have those clear tape, so I'm using a little bit of colored tape, which does not look as good. But if you have clear tape, I would suggest you use that. Now, you can also use glue, but glue will take longer to dry. I just wanted to make sure that that one was very difficult for me to cut, so I'm just making a little bit bigger cut so it will be easy to fold. So I took both the corners. You can see I put a finger in there so it will be rounded, and then I'm taping those corners, and then I'm going to flip the paper over. I'm going to take the next section and I'm going to tape that over. So you have to tape it like that. Every time you take another section, you have to flip the paper over, so the taped portions would be alternating. The alternating means it would be on opposite sides, both sides. So now that I'm done with this side, I'm going to flip the paper over again and do the next section. Yeah, because these are such thin strips of paper, be very careful when you handle them, because chances are it might tear if you're too rough with them. And try to handle it very, very gently. You don't want to have creases while you're taping those two sections together. So you have to have 6 different section that looks like this. So I'm going to do the last one now. Remember to flip it on the other side every time you're doing a new section. You don't want to have 2 of them end up on the same side of the paper. It would not look right. So this is how your one section of the star will end up looking. So you need 6 of them. So I'm doing cutting them. Remember to cut them on the open side and not on the folded side. So I'm only cutting 4 times, so I will end up with 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 cuts. You can start with the smallest one. Put a finger inside the loop to give it some support so it will not get crushed. Now after you're done with that, fold it over. Do the other side. Here you go. I'm done with my second one. So now I'll show you how I already did the other 4 earlier. So I'm going to show you how you're going to put all those 6 sections together and make it into a star. So take one of all the corners, hold it together in a point, and then when you have all 6 together, you're going to staple it together at just that one point in the middle. There you go. Now staple it together. Now that I have stapled together, but they're still loose, they're attached in the middle, but the side sections are all opened up. So what I have to do is I have to take both the ends together like that, and I'm going to staple it together too. So it will all be one single star. So find all the midpoints of all the stars and staple it together. You can tape it together too, or glue it together, whatever you have. Stapling seems to be the easiest, and I do not have fancy, the clear glue tape. So, and one good thing about stapling is you cannot see the colored tapes, which is a good thing. And be careful if you're using a stapler not to punch your finger. Make sure your fingers are safe. If you have origami paper, they would look even better. I have made it with white paper. Maybe you can have all 6 different colors for 6 different sections, or alternating colors, whatever you choose to do. Make it experiment with colors. Maybe you can decorate it with, if you're choosing to use only white paper, you can decorate it later with colors. So any medium. So there you go. My star is made, and happy creating.